I wanted to create this YouTube video showing off where the current cast of characters land on my personal tier list. So let's just start from the top. Yang, I think she's okay. I don't think there's anything special about this character. She gives energy, she has grouping that absolutely no one cares for, and she builds her concerto too slow to be any somewhat meta. She has a niche in Changli teams, but that's about it. Chixia, I would say she's B tier. She's okay. She's the best 4-star DPS as of current, but right now she's mainly single target on her skill. It could be interrupted, and her ult's the only AoE in her entire kit. Outside of that, Baji, I would put her in B tier. She's top of B tier though because she's a healer. She's pretty smooth once you get the rotation down. Outside of that, she's literally just there out of necessity, because we have 3 teams and we only have 2 5-star healers, so she's just the best currently available. Mortefi, I'd put him A tier. He works very well, but he doesn't work outside of... He's not best in slot in any other team outside of Jiyan teams, and then even outside of Jiyan teams where you're like, oh well, his damage would be nice, or even if they don't have heavy attack focus, you just put SanHua. He's just, in every shape and form, he's just worse than SanHua outside of Jiyan teams. Dungeon, she's okay. If you want to use her, you can. And if you are looking for like meta teams, she's probably not going to be included in any of them. But if you put her on your team, or if you build her, you're not breaking your account. Also, no one cares. This guy's basically the same thing as Dungeon, just worse. You might be breaking your account if you play this guy, as least at the moment, because there's no other arrow DPS outside of Jiyan, who obviously is basically glued to Mortefi. He builds his concerto too slow, he doesn't do enough damage, he has basically no notable things. Obviously he gets a 20% attack buff, as all 4-stars do at sequence 6, but like everyone does it, so it doesn't make it special. Yanru, the worst, or one of the worst 4-stars in the game. He gained a bit of hype because Jinxi came out, and he was just basically like a cheap option, but it's basically Jinxi wheelchairing him around. He isn't very good. Taochi, basically same thing. She's used for burst montages, like one-shot montages, but she has the same problem. Builds up her concerto too slow. Basically doesn't run most of her kit unless you keep her on the field for a very long time. Spectre Rover, not very good. Has way too much going on in their kit. Does okay damage. Has okay utility. The time slows in this game I actually think are more of a nuisance than they are a positive, because they end up throwing off your rhythm, and dodging actually increases your damage in this game because you have dodge counters. So SanHua, S tier, best character in the game, or best 4-star in the game. Rotates in and out in like 3 seconds. Gives you her 20% attack buff from her sequence 6. Gives you the 22% attack buff from Moonlight Cloud set. Does all her damage on the field in those 3 seconds, which is decent damage. Havoc, or I guess I talk about someone a little bit more. She's also best in slot for Encore and Camellia, and she could be ran in Changli teams or Zhang teams, whatever. She basically fits in most, if not every team in the game with a main DPS, and then she's best in slot for 2 of the meta DPS right now. So yeah, she's just the best 4-star. Havoc Rover, okay unit, has their problems, which is like cooldowns, runs out of gas, kind of just sits there once their entire rotation's over. But outside of that, they're pretty decent. I would put them below Dungeon, or maybe right in front of Dungeon. Ling Yang, this guy's bad. All single target, literally all single target. His lift up mechanic with his like kick up, it's very inconsistent. The bosses fly around. He doesn't have very interesting tracking. Like if the boss just runs away from him, he quite literally spends the rest of his forte running after them, which is so cringe. Encore, very good. Best standard 5-star DPS in the game right now. Has a very cheap team of Encore, or at least very cheap core of Encore and SanHua. And once you get the rotation down, the attack down, she will basically carry one of the sides of the Abyss, or not the Abyss, the tower, every single rotation. Even if it's not elemental advantage. Calcharo, worst 5-star in the game. With Calcharo, you're basically playing a rhythm game, where it's attack, attack, dodge, attack, attack, dodge, attack, attack, dodge. And if the enemy ever attacks you in between these things, if the enemy attacks you when you're doing attack, attack, dodge, when you dodge the attack, you have to dodge out of your dodge, because if you use the dodge counter, you actually lose DPS. And if you don't get that 4th Death Messenger, your character is quite literally worse than Chixia. So yeah, and he's just so inconsistent. If he's an AoE, he's inconsistent. If he's versus a boss, he's inconsistent. He's inconsistent, and then he's also bad. There. Terrible character. I don't even remember this girl's name, but she does a bit of everything, but builds Forte too slow. She builds Concerto too slow. Considering there's only 3 slots on the team, you could just find better fits for it. Just not very good. Verina, best 5-star in the game, or best 5-star standard in the game. Heals, gives lifesteal, gives damage buffs, gives attack buffs. Proxy healer set, and does this all in 3 seconds. So literally can rotate out of her very quickly just to get back onto your other DPS. Something else that people don't mention a lot is the rotation that she allows you to use. So let's say you're using like Jiyan and Mortefi, right? With this, like this. If you end the rotation on Jiyan, you can go into Mortefi. So you can use Jiyan's outro and an intro onto Mortefi, and he's gonna get a bit of his Forte. And then you can use like skill or something, rotate into Verina, who's not gonna get any intro. Use her 3 basics, use her skill, use her ult, auto attack twice, and she's gonna get her outro again, and then intro back into Mortefi, and he's gonna basically have his Forte. And this is just feeding Fortes into your sub DPS, so they spend less time on the field, and then you can swap back to Jiyan. This works with so many like teams. You could do like Changli, you could do Zezhe, right, or whatever her name is, Zezhe, whatever. It works with so many people, and this is exclusively on Verina and kind of Baiji, but she's significantly worse. This works very well on Verina, and it's her one advantage over Storekeeper, outside of rotating so fast. Let's keep going. Jinxi, best DPS in the game. Not only just because of her insane damage, but also because the ease of use. She's basically the new Valette of this game, where she has 2 cinematics in her rotation, which is the Forte skill and the ult. So she's basically invulnerable for more time than most DPS, and then she rotates so fast that in the amount of time that it would take most DPS to get a full rotation off, or most teams get a full rotation off, Jinxi's already cycling back to do her second like Forte, which just makes her damage so absurd. Her only really real concern is having coordinated attackers to pair with her, but you could literally run Yanwu and still pass with this character. She's just so insane. Zezhe, or whatever her name is, she's okay. She's quite literally a character with almost 0 flaws. It's just that she doesn't really show you in your face all the things she's doing. So she provides energy, she gives skill and ice damage amplification, deepen to your character. She rotates pretty fast, and if you're using the Verina tech, you can once again just rotate with your DPS, put your DPS intro into Zezhe, do literally nothing on Zezhe, go into Verina outro into Zezhe, and she doesn't even need an auto attack to get her full Forte. It's such a broken tech. So yeah, with Jinxi, it's like this. Get her skill.
I beckon. Sacred light.
Swap into Jeju.
Instantly.
Swap to your healer.
Verity shines.
And then swap back into Jeju, and you can see she has her full forte without having to auto single time. So outside of that, she's okay. I would keep her in A or even top of B, but I'll keep her in A for right now. Actually, you know what? I'll change this. I'll put Encore at the bottom of A. And then Chongli's going to be... No. Okay. Encore is bottom of B. Chongli's top of A. And then Yinlin is going to be here. Chongli is very easy to fit into teams once you know how to use her. She's so versatile that... if you want to put her in Jiyan teams, she works. If you want to put her into Zhang Liao team, she works. She works in basically any dual DPS core because she does so much ridiculous damage so quickly, and then she also gives a small buff on top of that. But you do need to know how she works and where you could end up like using her skills and things like that. Especially if you feed her with the double intros, it gets significantly better because you could obviously feed the double intros into her, and then she only needs to skill twice instead of like doing extra basic attacks on the field to get her forte and then do the explosion. So I'll put her there. Zhang Liao, boom, boom, like that, like that. Best free DPS among all the popular gacha games. He slows down time, he groups with his ultimate, he groups with his E, he has a very easy rotation. I don't think there's... He also runs to the enemy, like auto dashes to the enemy if they move. Yuan Wu, I don't think anyone actually cares for this character. If you want to use her, you can. She's going to get better if there's any real coordinated attacker that does the majority of a team's DPS, but as of current, that is just not the case. Shorekeeper, best DPS, best 5-star in the game. Crit rate buffs, crit damage buffs, attack buffs, with her healing set, that is. Damage deepen buffs. Am I forgetting anything? I don't think so. What else does this character do? She also does damage on her intro. Just everything Verina does, just a bit more. The only flaw of this character is that she takes a little bit longer on the field. So if Verina takes 3 seconds to get everything done, Shorekeeper takes 6 seconds. And you also need to intro on Shorekeeper so that she doesn't take 9 seconds instead. So if Shorekeeper doesn't get her intro, she's going to take significantly longer. So you need to intro on her. So you can't do that. Feed your sub DPS double intros on her. Camellia. She does more damage than Jinxi, but she doesn't have the quality of life. So she's going to be here. You could even argue her here. But I'm going to put her here for one reason. And that's because if you played the 1.4 event, you got a free 5-star sword. And it's super good. So she's one of the only DPS in the game that have a FTP weapon that's very competitive with her pay-to-win options. It gives crit rate. It gives a ton of attack. It's the cat sword. I have a picture up or something. But outside of that, she does burst. She does burst DPS. She does sustained DPS. She is in mid-air for majority of her attacks, so she doesn't get damaged. Obviously, attacks in a wide AoE, and she does enough single target damage that she's not just like locked to AoE stuff. Lumi, she's okay. That's it. That's it. She's quite literally just okay. She's an addition. She's a 4-star of Wuthering Waves. She's an addition to the cast. That's about it. She is what people who without Chongli. She's Chongli if you don't have Chongli. There. Coretta or whatever her name is. I think she's okay. She's gonna be here for me. There. That's where I would place her right now, but they do buffs all the way up until the character comes out, so I'm not gonna rank these two. And this would be my finalist tier list. I would say I'm majorly happy with this, but let me know what y'all think.